What's going on, Cavs fans? Spencer German, Spencer Davies with you here inside Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse. As we recap, a thrilling 115-111 win for the Cavaliers over the Boston Celtics. It was a night that was obviously painted with some pretty high expectations with the Celtics coming to town, the defending champs, but also because Spence Red Panda was here tonight, and that made it worth the price of admission for those of you who were in attendance tonight. Other than, I mean, the game was great too, but Red Panda stole the show. Let's just be honest.
Like a fine wine. This age is so beautiful.
She's like, what, in her 50s? And
yeah,
she's still crushing it?
And she's adding more plates by every year. It's insane.
I mean, listen, Donovan Mitchell scored 20 points in the fourth quarter, but I mean, that's nothing compared to Red Panda just throwing those bowls up on her head. I mean,
you should have heard him.
It's incredible.
When he heard, as soon as he heard the theme song, he started going nuts.
I said, hell yeah.
He did. He's
like, she's here.
Fist pumped.
She's here. First day of December. It's Christmas come early. No, but in all seriousness, guys, really, really fun game tonight. And I think the starting point really is with what we just alluded to there with Donovan Mitchell. I think it's kind of interesting because Kenny Atkinson, he talked a couple weeks back about how, you can win basketball games with like running your offense through one player and that guy kind of taking over and doing a lot of kind of running the show. We've seen the Cavs do that. The Cavs won a championship largely with LeBron sort of being the guy, and he had the right pieces and parts to sort of bounce off of with Kyrie and Kevin Love. But like, we know that is a formula in the NBA, but he really prides himself on this team isn't going to be that way. They want to spread the ball. They want to get everybody kind of involved. And through the first couple weeks of the season, that's what this has been. But it also helps when it's a luxury to have a guy that can do that for you and take over a game when you need it. And Donovan did that tonight. And, lifted this team to victory. He had the 20 points in the fourth quarter. And all of those a lot of those came with from the 3:13 mark in the end of the game on. Hit a couple big free throws, hit 3 threes in a row that tied the game. I think at 101, I think it was at the time. He was phenomenal tonight. And again, that is why, even though Kenny wants this offense to be sort of a well-oiled machine and everyone kind of playing in sync off of each other, not just be about one guy, still nice to have that guy that can step up when you need it, though.
Absolutely. And it kind of started for him in the third quarter when he started making some shots. And then he missed 2 free throws, and that kind of got him going. And he just said kind of how Jason Tatum hit a shot, and he said something. It wasn't directly to him, but Jason was definitely feeling something. He was feeling confident, and it motivated Don. And he was just like, all right, it's time. And, that's just what Donovan can do. We saw it in Milwaukee, and it was kind of reminiscent of that, the way that he's able to just take over and pull-ups, catch shoots, getting to the free throw line, finishing inside through traffic. He can just kind of do it all, and it really, really just kind of propelled this team tonight. And that was big time against a team like the Celtics, who, as we know, can light it up and they can defend. And they were missing 2 very important pieces tonight, Jaylen Brown and Derek White. Let's not forget that. But they are very deep. They have a lot of different weapons, and they're effective. And, they still had Tatum out there, and he was outstanding in the third quarter. He went 6 of 8, scored 17 points, and was just getting to the his shot at will. Yeah. Peyton Pritchard was getting to the line.
Tatum had 17 in the third quarter, and that was again the run that kind of sparked them to build a big lead that Donovan kind of talked about afterwards. Like, I felt like I had to kind of answer in the fourth quarter. And you mentioned the context of the Celtics are missing a couple guys. We know the Cavs are missing a couple guys. Dean Wade's still not playing. Max Strus still not playing.
Correct.
So we kind of have yet to see these teams at full strength really go head to head and go at it. But still, this is a big one. You beat the defending champs. They come into your building. You just lost to them a little over nearly 2 weeks ago. It's a feel-good sort of situation here. And along the lines of Donovan, just kind of put a bow on that conversation, he talked afterwards, and Kenny Atkinson talked afterwards just about he is as level-headed as it comes. Yeah. It doesn't matter what the moment is. It could be Game 7 of the NBA Finals. It could be game whatever number game we're on. What are they? 7? They were 17-3 coming in. So game number 21, game math. And no matter what the situation is, he just kind of keeps it even keel. And it's why, even in those moments when he starts going off, he doesn't get too high, he doesn't get too low, he doesn't let one thing sort of perpetuate into more. And I think you saw that on full display from Donovan tonight. And again, that's a luxury to have a guy that can kind of provide that for your team in those clutch moments. And you need people to start making plays and step up.
And he's been on just kind of this not like a shooting slump, but just a little skid. We're not used to seeing him miss the jump shots. I mean, the shot quality that he's had the last few games has been fine. They're ones that he's used to making, and we saw in the second half the real Donovan Mitchell. This is the guy that he is. But the thing that really comes to my attention is, like, you look in Atlanta and he's missing shots. Okay, he's still going out and grabbing boards. He's still defending, getting steals. These are things that a leader does, and it rubs off on the team in that way. And it really helps to have somebody as talented as Donovan Mitchell is to be able to do that, but also to not have to rely on it all the time.
I thought Darius Garland played really well tonight as well.
Number one story for me.
Yeah, I mean, 5 of 12, 4 of 6 from 3. He had 22 points. He was second to Mitchell in terms of scoring on the team. And for all the criticism he took, again, a little less than 2 weeks ago against the Celtics, where everyone was ready to say he just can't perform against the Celtics. He doesn't play well on the big stages. I thought he had a nice bounce-back performance tonight. And I know you really want to highlight specifically, forget the offensive end of the floor where he scored the 22 points. You want to highlight the defensive end, because we saw all night long that the Celtics were getting him involved in the action. They were trying to get him switched on Tatum, and they clearly saw that as a mismatch. And he really rose to the occasion to try to make life hard for Jason Tatum and others that he was getting switched on, because he said, like, hey, if you're going to do that to me, I'm up for the challenge.
Yeah, and I still think there are situations where they don't have to switch every time that happens.
Yeah.
Maybe Isaac Okoro can fight through a screen here and there.
Well, they're doing it so early in the clock.
Correct,
right? Like,
exactly.
Just kind of letting it happen. It's like you'd like to see him try a little bit before you, like if it's only a few seconds left, it's one thing. But yeah, to your point,
it's an immediate switch. It's an immediate switch, and I mean, there is definitely a size disadvantage when someone goes at Darius Garland. We know that they can shoot over the top, but you got to credit Darius because he's bodying guys up. They're going through him. They're going through him, but he is staying stout. He's keeping up, I think, especially specifically with Tatum, he kind of sped him up a little bit there in the fourth quarter and did a good job of just, being on it, like just being on the ball and making sure that he's not getting whatever he wants inside. And that really helped. Like, Tatum missed a layup, maybe because, Garland was right there, and they sent a little bit of help with Okoro and with, Allen and Mobley, whoever was on the floor. But Darius, to exert that amount of energy on that end of the floor and to do that against a Tatum and a Pritchard, like he got switched on to Kristaps Porzingis, maybe got away with a foul call a little bit there, but Darius, they've been talking about it all post game, just how they are not going to hide him this year.
Yeah.
He is going to be somebody that has to step up on that end of the floor, and he has been this year, and he was huge in that aspect. And then you look at the other side of the floor while you're doing that on Tatum, and when you're getting hunted, just incessantly hunted, by the way. Literally every possession in the fourth quarter. Go back and watch the film. 22 points, 0 turnovers, by the way.
Yeah, that's huge.
And a number of clutch free throws down the end of the stretch when we were playing the game, when the Cavs were up 3 and they fouled about 800 times.
No, yeah, you highlight it well. And, you talk about the defensive end of the floor. Darius was asked specifically, if he takes kind of exception or feels slighted by teams trying to sort of switch on to him, as if like he's just not a good defender and teams are going to try to exploit him. And his exact words, this is a direct quote, he said, "Yeah, but I ain't no punk." Mm-hmm. So he made it known, like, I'm not going to just back down from that challenge just because they think I'm a small guard who can't guard Jason Tatum because he's that, ideal wing size of a player that's obviously taken the league by storm at this point. And I think that speaks to just like his mindset in those moments, and the fact that he's not hiding. Like Kenny Atkinson talked about, like, we're not going to hide him. The fact that he's willing to embrace that challenge, I think, speaks to his character and what he's trying to sort of give to this team. And I thought that was massive as well. So I'm sure we'll continue to see teams try to exploit that, and his ability to kind of work through those things and embrace that challenge could be a massive, massive thing for this team moving forward.
And I speak to the turnovers too, that we had none. Let's look at 22 points, 4 of 6 from deep. This is a guy that shot 3 of 21 in Boston.
Yeah. Right.
And that's a hell of a response, especially the first half. But Kenny Atkinson, even went and just said, you know what, he was phenomenal the whole game. So, well, that just speaks to his character, like you said, but also the vision that he has and the ability to step up when the team needs him to do so. Especially when Donovan did not have it going until the third and fourth.
And I don't want to get like too far ahead here because it's December 1st, but at the same time, like that's why a game like this matters, right? Because you're thinking about the standings, and this game keeps the Cavs in first place in the East ahead of the Celtics, who are right on their tail, obviously with the same exact record coming into tonight. But if you're able to earn the 1 seed per se, like if you get to the end of the season and because you've had these kind of back and forth sort of teeter-tottering through the season and the standings, if Donovan's if Darius rather is again, we know sometimes players just play better at home. You get those 4 games at home, that might be the difference in Darius putting up like big numbers in a series versus maybe if he goes on the road and he struggles, maybe that explains some of it. So again, I'm getting a little far ahead on that. I'm not saying it's like a guaranteed thing. But, like the difference between playing at home and on the road, I think was maybe on display for him tonight, as it tends to be with other players and role players especially. And so that's why like a game like this ultimately could come back to be important for you down the line. But yeah, we'll see how that all sorts itself out. But I think like that was maybe part of the equation here. But I also do think he proved that it's not I'm afraid of the Celtics thing. It was just a bad game in Boston a couple weeks ago.
Right. And same with Donovan coming off of a 5 of 23 performance in Atlanta the other night, coming in tonight
it happens.
And having a 12 of 21 day. And if you listen to Don, he says the same stuff over and over again about building on it and making it consistent and continuing to build. But he is very even keeled. He is somebody who's like, look, if I go 0 for 20 or 20 for 20, I'm still going to bring the same effort, the same kind of mentality, and the same just be me and impact this team however I can on a given night to win. So, the backcourt, you got to give a lot of credit to the backcourt tonight. They came out and really set the tone. And then, you mentioned the role players. I mean, how about George Niang coming out and hitting 3 threes off the bat?
Yeah.
He had a team high 11 to start the game.
I want to talk about George Niang because, again, on a team right now that doesn't have your full arsenal of guys off the bench, no Dean Wade, no Max Strus, it was important that a guy like him stepped up and played well and contributed for you. Ty Jerome's going through a little bit of a slump. So, yeah, I thought it was great for George to play the way he did. He still is having like one of the best starts to a season in his career. I think he actually still has like his career high shooting percentage right now. Like
it's the 2-pointers too.
Yeah, he's still playing really, really good basketball. And this was more of what the Cavs were hoping to get in George Niang when they signed him last year. So I think you have to be encouraged by that to an extent, him coming off the bench and contributing that way. And obviously, Karis LeVert also had 13 points, another guy off the bench who we know can do that for you on any given night.
And Karis, the thing for me, I mean, I know he had the 5 turnovers. He's still getting back in the rhythm, but physically he looked good tonight. He was getting downhill, getting teammates involved, and then also crashing the glass. I think that's another part.
He had a sneaky 13. I didn't really notice he had 13, so I checked the box score.
It was under, he was getting to the rack, and he's just kind of got his own rhythm. He's going in transition very well. And then defensively, I think is where they missed him the most. So big time from Karis in that aspect. So
let's talk about Evan for a second as well, because you mentioned guys not playing well and Darius on the road in Boston tonight. Evan, we kind of tried to see how long it was going to be until he started knocking down some shots. Because early on, it wasn't that he didn't have good looks. He was creating good looks for himself, or his teammates were dishing it to him. It was
a little hot off. It was a little hot off the glass. He was just a little bit off.
He just couldn't get him to fall.
The inside stuff.
And then it continued in the second half, and we got to a point where we just kind of had to accept that he just wasn't having a good night.
Yes.
And so it is what it is. It happens. But I thought what was encouraging about Evan, and this has been sort of his story throughout the first several years of his career, right?
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't let that, Donovan talked about this too, like not letting one end impact the other, not letting one game impact the other. He didn't let his offensive performance impact him on the defensive end. He still finished with 10 rebounds. He had 3 block shots. So he was still finding ways to contribute to this game despite the fact that he only had 9 points. And I thought that was awesome to see because he knows like he can't just like let a bad night shooting wise get to him and drag him down and cost his team. And he clearly like was still involved in the game in a different way. And maybe the way that we know has always been his strength, which is the defensive end of the floor.
And that's where you can learn from Donovan. That's a perfect example because Donovan didn't allow that to kind of ruin his game and helping him impact winning, even though they lost the Hawks twice. Still going and rebounding the ball, still playing defense, still making the hustle plays. Evan did something similar today. He was playing great defense. Offensively, he just had a lot of trouble for some reason in the paint today. It wasn't working off the backboard. It was just a little bit strong today. And the jumper was not on. So, but you got to play through it. You got to continue to attack downhill, which he did. I love when he gets downhill and attacks for them because he is just such a mismatch nightmare.
Yeah, it wasn't for lack of effort, right? Like
No,
he was still being the aggressive Mobley that we've seen this year. It just wasn't the shots just weren't falling.
Mm-hmm. And you also, I think, as we get off of Evan here too, Isaac Okoro, big play at the end.
He promised us 3 threes though, and he only hit 2.
He hit 2. He had his hair out, so I was like, okay, this is when ice comes out. But no, he did. He hit his first. He had a 3 in the first quarter, and then in the fourth quarter he hit a big one, pivotal one actually.
Yeah.
Because they were. I mean, I think they were down
and
9. They were down 9 with like 6 minutes.
He also had the assist on the transition bucket to Evan on the dunk that gave the Cavs the lead. I think it was 103-101 at the time. So yeah, like another guy who's just making impact plays in key spots.
And you look at that, and you look at that too. I mean, you bring up that play. I'm bringing up the one with 30 seconds left when Donovan's, getting attacked, doubled or whatever like that. He finds Isaac in the pocket. Isaac immediately fires it over to Evan, who's cutting for a dunk. Like beautiful execution, especially against the Celtics team that knows how to defend that type of stuff.
A couple other things I want to hit on, and one of them is, I think I appreciate this year Kenny Atkinson being so candid with us in the media. And one of the cool sort of into the look into the mind of Kenny Atkinson moments he gave us post game was when he talked about how he wasn't always a foul up 3 guy.
Yeah.
And that was the situation at the end. For the last 50-ish seconds of the game,
800 fouls. We counted them.
The Cavs were up 3, and it was like they were just kind of playing this game of not trying to let him get the shots off. Cavs were kind of hanging in and getting the lead back, and he sort of admitted yeah, I didn't used to be that way, but the analytics tell us it's a good idea to do. And on top of that, he said usually 10 seconds is the sweet spot to sort of start fouling them to prevent them from shooting threes. But he said with this team, though, he was I didn't want to see Peyton Pritchard get another 3-pointer off and tie the game. So I started doing that with 28 seconds to go. So I thought that was kind of interesting. And again, kind of an interesting perspective for you guys as fans, as you see those situations play out more this year, how Kenny handles them. And you saw that for sort of the first time doing that tonight.
In his words, he said, screw it, we're fouling. So they did it literally 4 times. They fouled 4 times, 5 times.
It made the last 26 seconds of the game last 15 minutes.
It was quite long, but the strategy paid off. Can't really argue against it. And we're getting played off right now. But
the Oscars or something.
The other part that was great was honestly him talking about the inbound pass from George to Evan. And he said it was garbage. But with that, I think we got to go.
Well, before we go, I need to find out if Spence is going to say the thing that we've been getting him to say. Spence, 115, 111. Cavs win over the Celtics. A couple weeks ago, I was egging you on to say the thing. Are you calling this the Cavs' first signature win of the season?
No.
Come on. It was Thanksgiving weekend.
The bit is dead.
Ohio State lost. The Browns are probably going to lose tomorrow. The Cavs get a big win, and you're not going to give us a signature win before we get out of here?
Nope.
Leave it to this guy to
good bounce back though. Seriously, good bounce back.
Leave it to this guy to spoil the end of your Thanksgiving weekend, guys. It's fine. At some point we'll get him to say it. I don't know when, but at some point we'll get him to say it. That's going to do it for us. I'm German, Spencer Davies. We appreciate you guys jumping in with us. Be sure to follow along with more content like this. Spence already uploaded all the post-game press conferences over at the Cleveland Cavaliers on SI YouTube channel. You can also find more of our post-game hits and obviously all that great stuff. I think we're doing another podcast episode maybe tomorrow, so that'll be up there as well. And as always, find our written content over at Cleveland Cavaliers on SI or si.com/NBA/Cavaliers. And we got you covered over there as well. You got something to add to that?
Come on, feel the noise.
Okay. I thought you had something else. For Spencer Davies, I'm Spencer German. Cavaliers, 115-111 winners tonight. We'll talk to you guys more. 2 more home games coming this week right here at Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse. And we look forward to recapping those with you as well. Take it easy, Cavs fans, and I hope you had a great Thanksgiving weekend.
What's hysterical? Wait.